to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is the founder and CEO who translate tech into plain language for business owners who just need it to work. No other than Miss Charly Leetham.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you so much for having me. This is the first time I've actually done a live, so this is exciting.
Yes, thank you, Miss Charlie. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
I will try not to bore people too much. Let's see. I have 40 years experience, or nearly 40 years experience in the IT industry. In fact, I started when it wasn't even IT. We called it electronics and communication at the time. Notwithstanding stuff I had done before that, I had always been involved in tech. I'd always been interested in tech, but I went out, I got an associate diploma in electronic engineering, and I have worked since then across field service, pre-sales, contract management, customer service management, project management, sales management. I've run my own businesses. I've been running my own businesses for years now. And in 2007, after one of my franchises failed, I had to absolutely just make some money, get some food on the table for the family. And this business was built. And this is the business I would have built when my kids were little so that I could stay home and look after them and still do the things that I love doing.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Charlie. Yeah, thank you. And today let's talk about why your website is not just as secure as you think it is. Why is it, Miss Charlie? Can you tell us about this topic of yours?
Look, I sure can. So, look, I'm going to start this by saying nothing is ever 100% secure. I don't care how good your security is. I don't care how good your practices are. It doesn't matter how good a mousetrap is. There are always smarter mice out there. So that
Mm.
is where I start my process with security. It's like I we can have it secured to a point, but overall there is always going to be someone who's going to try and get in, and more likely you're going to get hacked. You are going to have a problem with your security. Why is your website not as secure though? So the internet is a really complex system. You have a web server, you have a network with all the routers and the switches and the interconnects that connect you into the internet. You have the software that runs on your web server. And then you have your own PC and your own computer that then you use to manage your content, upload information, and do things. So when you put all that together, I'm trying to show my hands here, it's a real interconnection. And all it takes is for one of those things to be slightly out of kilter with everything else, and your security is compromised. If you were to ask me where the biggest holes in security are for websites, business owners don't maintain their software versions. They don't maintain the versions of the applications they're running on their websites. So I work a lot with WordPress websites. WordPress will have a security update once every couple of weeks. It will have a major update once every couple of months. And then you start putting plugins on top of that give you, your forms, your membership site, sliders, the way images display, and they can update every couple of days. When they update, they add functionality, typically, but they also look after the security of your website. As things go along, people will say, "Oh, look, we found a problem here. We found this can be compromised if we do it this way, or we can get in through the back door if we use this little function here. Plugin owners, WordPress owners, software owners go, oh, that's a hole. We've got to patch it. So they patch the hole. They put out their update, and the business owner says, "I'll do that later. It's too hard. I'll do that later." Now, when they release that patch, that goes into release notes, and the hackers read those release notes and go, "Oh, that's a hole that we can go and compromise. Let's go and find someone who's running an earlier version of this software, and we will use that to get into the website." So that's why I don't think your websites are as secure as you think they are, because it's this continual, you've got to keep updating it, you've got to keep monitoring it, you've got to keep looking at it. Who are the smart mice now? What have the smart mice decided they can get in and do now? That makes some sense.
Interesting, Miss Charlie. And many business owners think I'm small. Who would target me? Why is it the mindset of the single biggest vulnerability for most websites today?
That is a great question, Daniel. And it doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how small you are. If a hacker can get in, they will. Now, there's a couple of reasons behind that. In fact, this is one of my podcast episodes recently. Sometimes it's just what I call script kiddie.
Yes.
And they're the ones that they finish up at school, they're a bit bored, they find these things that they can go and do, and they go and do it just because they can say, I did this.
Yes.
I managed to do this. The other ones and look, it's still bad. That's still bad. But the other ones that do it, they look at stealing your resources more than anything. And there's other reasons. But if you're a small business, you're not storing stuff on your server, you don't have a lot of information, they still can steal your resources. What they'll tend to do is they'll put up a phishing site or a spamming site, something that just sends out emails, and they use your server's resources. They send out emails under your domain name. Your domain name then gets slapped with a spammer and gets blacklisted, and you can't get your emails through anymore. If it's a phishing site, that in those emails they'll send out and say, come here. And they use your domain name in a hidden folder. People come along and say, oh, I've been compromised. I've got to go and update my details. Hit the link. They're on your server now. They're looking at the address in the bar going, this doesn't look right, but they still do it. And they hand over their personal details. They hand over their usernames, passwords. Sometimes it's even their own security questions so that they can get into their accounts, which don't actually exist on that server, right?
Yes.
So that's why small businesses are a target, because they've got those resources that these hackers can use, and they tend to have the mindset that I'm only small, I don't need to worry about this. And they're the ones that do need to worry about it.
Interesting, Miss Charlie. For sure, people will learn for our topic for today. People often equate cybersecurity with an antivirus or on their computer. How does website security represent a completely different and more complex battlefield?
Okay, so it really starts with, you've got to keep your patches up to date. And it's not just, I mentioned WordPress and plugins. You've got to do all that. But your server also has its own level of software that runs on it. So that all has to be patched. That all has to be kept up to date. I run a hosting company, and I do patch updates basically every day. Every day a server is being, one of my servers is being patched because a vulnerability has come out and we've got to go in and fix that one up. So you've got your servers that need patching, you've got your website that needs patching, you've got users on the site that you reuse their passwords. and they get hacked somewhere else. So then people go, oh, we'll try this site over here where we know they are and we'll see if that password works here. Then what else? Oh, there's the network that sits between. So you've got firewalls, you've got switches, you've got other people's stuff that's in between your server and the internet that can get compromised, which then makes it easier to get into your server. And then you've got the user component themselves. So me as a user sitting here, uploading content to a server or a website, if my PC has been compromised, if I've got a problem on my PC, I could actually transfer that up to my server, which then gets it to go out to other people on the internet as well.
Many install a security plugin and consider a job done. Why is it website security a continuous process, not one-time fix?
Great question. It is crunchy on the outside and soft on the inside. That's how I describe it. The idea is that you have many layers of defense when you're doing your security. You make it as hard as possible on the outside to compromise, but the closer you get to the core systems, the closer you get to the bits that you and I need to use, you and I need to distribute information and content, it's a little softer, right? It's like it's like a chocolate bar that's got a soft center. So you install a security plugin. That's on your website. That's on the inside. That's one of the last layers of defense. You go out. You can protect your server. You can protect your network. You can protect where that network connects to. So it is multi-layer. We call it layered defenses. Basically, we make it as hard as possible to get through that crunchy outside shell. And just keep making it hard to get in. If just installing a software plugin isn't enough. You need to have the software plugin. You need to have a firewall. You need to have a web application firewall. Your routers, your switches within the network have to have their own levels of protection. Because once they get through one layer, they can start to get to the next. They can start to get through the next. If I was to give you an analogy on that, it'd be like protecting your house. Let's say that you have security cameras on your house, security lights on your house. So when someone walks up to the door, the security lights come on, and that's going to scare off some people, right? If they're going to do bad things, they might go, "Oh, we're not going to be here. We'll go somewhere else." But if you were then to add, for example, a dog to the situation and the lights come on and the dog barks, it's a little bit more scary, and we're not going to touch this house. But there are still some people that will try to get through that. So then you add your alarm system. And when they get through the lights and the dog and they don't phase them, and the alarm goes off, that's more likely to scare them off than anything else. And they'll, honestly, it sounds terrible, but they'll go and try someone else's house then. So that's why, the security plugin is just like putting up the lights. That's only one part of it. You've got to have a whole system to protect your website.
Unlike a broken window, you can't always see a security breach. What are the silent, hidden signs that a website might already be compromised without the owner knowing?
Okay, so high bandwidth usage. That would be the first thing. Is you're starting to get notices from your hosting provider that your bandwidth is exceeding its limit or getting close to exceeding its limit, and you think that's really strange because I don't normally get those notices. That's because you've got someone on the server using those resources to send out emails, to have the phishing attacks coming, or the phishing people come in and get their information. Slow websites, because it's taking resources from the website, it's taking resources from the server, your website is going to slow down. You might get notices that your domain is blacklisted, or you might get notices that your emails are starting to bounce because they're being marked as spam, and no, you can't send that email anymore. They're the more obvious reason. They're the more obvious ones that you would see, and they're the ones that most of us who sit out here looking at a website go, "There's something wrong. I don't know what it is." You can scan. You can do scans, but that's where you normally need someone like me to come in, where we can run a set of tools across the server and say, "This looks strange. This looks a bit funny. We need to clean this up." Um, yeah, really. Once you get down to that level, there's tools that we can use. There's intrusion detection. Has the checksum. Oh, sorry, I don't want to use technical jargon here. Have the files on the system changed significantly in a way that we wouldn't expect them to?
Miss Charlie, we all know about strong passwords, but what about the dangers of password reuse across different services? How does breach at a completely unrelated site threaten your website security?
So normally your password is associated with an email address, and what people tend to do is they just have this list of email addresses and passwords. They find a website and they go, "Oh, I've compromised this website. Let me run a script, a piece of software, a function that will go through this list and try every email and password combination that I have on this website and see if I can get in that way." Now, those scripts allow you to do thousands of combinations in minutes. In minutes, it's really, really quick. So if you've used your email and password on one site and that site's been compromised, it's now on a list, and that list is now being used against any number of other sites out there to see if you can get in. So that's how unrelated compromises occur. It's not that they know that your user is on that site. It's not that they know that that email address has been used on that site. It is more, we have this list of things. Let's see if what's on there. Let's see if let's just keep throwing things and see what sticks. So that's the danger of reusing password.
Many fear that updating core software, themes, or plugins will break their site. How do you weigh the perceived risk of an update against the very real risk of running updated vulnerable code?
Good question. A couple of years ago, I would say you just didn't. You just waited. You waited till you had a couple of hours to be able to fix up the problems that occurred. Now the systems are so much more stable. We rarely have we really have a problem with a plugin updating or a theme updating or WordPress updating and it failing. You yourself as a business owner, though, have to weigh the possibility that if you don't update and you get compromised, you will get compromised. That's a possibility, right? If you don't update, you will get compromised. What's the possibility of it? What's the probability of it? If you get compromised, what's the cost of that going to be to your business? Now, cost isn't just money. Cost is time, it's money, and it's reputation and trust of your customers. It might also be regulatory. You might, if you get hit and you get compromised, you might actually be in breach of some of your regulations in some of your accreditations, and that's going to have a cost to you. So that's the first thing you need to do. That's your threat and risk assessment. The next part of that threat and risk assessment is, okay, so if I go and do an update and it fails, what's my cost? How long will I be down for? What is the cost? You still have all of those things. You still have time, you still have energy, you still have money, you still have trust and reputation. But you then start looking at that probability of, if I go to update and you've got 100%, sorry, you've got a 90% chance that it's going to update without a problem. So you've got a 10% chance you're going to have a problem. And if I don't update, there's a 50% chance I'm going to get hacked. I know which one I'm choosing, but that's up to you to decide, is what level of risk do you want to take with that. What was the last part I had on that one? Oh, the second part of that is, how do you mitigate those risks? How do you mitigate that if you do an update and your site is going to fail? How do you mitigate that? You take a backup. If it fails, you just restore the backup. You've got minimal downtime, you've got minimal problems. It does cost you a little bit because it's time and energy to do it. You can always run a staging site or a development site. So it runs in parallel. It's the same build, it's the same versions of software. And when you go to do your updates, do it on your dev site. Does it work on your dev site? You've now got 100% certainty that it's going to work on your prod site, on your production site. How do you mitigate a hack or the possibility of a hack? You've got to do your software updates. That's the thing that I would be looking at.
Miss Charlie, how are advancements in AI being used by both attackers to find vulnerabilities and by defenders to patch them?
Look, I'm not entirely certain. I will be honest about that one. If I was to be me, I would be saying, write me scripts to go and do this, and then when I get the data back, do all the analysis on it and give me the list of the ones that I can go and attack. I can tell you that I have had a compromised file and I threw it into AI and it refused to look at it. It told me it wasn't allowed to look at it. So how are they being used? They're being used procedurally, is the way I would say it. How do they optimize their scripts? How do they optimize their data analysis to bring back all the data that they're getting to say, is this site running something we can compromise, or do we move on to the next one? Is this site doing something that we could use to get into the back end of it? That's how I would think it's being used, but I really don't have a good feel for it.
Miss Charlie, what are your short-term and long-term goals as a CEO and founder?
Oh, good question. My long-term goal, honestly, is they're kind of related. They're both together. I want to help people. I really just want to help people. I just want to make their lives easier so they can get on and do the things that they do best, letting me do the things that I do best and I enjoy. In terms of a long-term goal, I'd love to have just somewhere I can settle down and still do what I do. Like, I can't see myself retiring. I can't see myself not doing something. I just like to be able to have somewhere I can settle down, not have to worry too much about having lots of money, just enough money to live comfortably and continue to be able to help people. There you go.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Charlie, and looking forward for more success. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Yes, I can. Look, the first book I'm going to recommend, and it's a really old one. I don't even know if it's still in print. It's called In Search of Excellence by Tom Peters. I read that as a very young woman, and it changed how I offer service to people, how I do my services. It's a real service mindset book. The second one is called, I'm going to look it up here. It's called The Phoenix Project. Now, this is more for techie people, And the authors of that are Jean Kim, Kevin Beer, and George Spafford, the Phoenix Project. And that is actually a book about DevOps. It's a novel about DevOps. So what I do, it's how we manage a fast-paced changing environment that has all these things going on, and the things that we have to deal with, your processes, your procedures, dealing with the personalities in the business. I loved it. It was a great book because I looked at it and went, that's my life.
Thank you for that recommended books, Miss Charlie. And what will be a piece of advice for those people out there who want to be a founder and CEO like you?
Oh, okay. Be prepared to do the work. It's not easy. Don't get taken in by these glamorous photos that you see. It is 99% sweat,
Hmm.
and you just have to be prepared to do the work. Be passionate about what you want to do, because when it gets hard, that is going to be what keeps you going.
Thank you for that advice, Miss Shelley. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in second season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Michelle Lee, what is the one analogy or story you tell that finally makes the light bulb go off for someone who has been underestimating their website res?
Oh dear. Look, honestly, just don't assume that everything is okay. Have someone like me in your corner. Be prepared to ask for help, and come to someone like me and say, I don't know. Can you check it? Can you let me know what's going on?
Yes, definitely. Miss Charly Leetham, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely will. Thank you so much. So you can find me at askcharlyleetham.com at the website that you're seeing on the screen here. You can reach out to me on any of the social media networks, and I am here to make tech easy for small business. So if you've got anything at all, book a 30-minute free consult and see if I can help you out.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Charly Leetham, because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering business to come. So, Miss Charlie, thank you so much for your time.
You are most welcome, and thank you for having me, Daniel. I really appreciate it.
You are most welcome. More to come, people. See you soon.